Hello, I'm Gill Fielding, and this is what's caught my eye in the media this week. Well, first of all, it's not always just about the money. And I'm always delighted when I hear of schemes where people do make profits and they do make money, but there's also some ulterior motive or different motive to the investment concerned. And this week I read about the World Bank issuing a 5-year conservation bond. And the idea is that it will support black rhinos in South Africa and also try and increase the numbers of black rhinos and also support 2 conservation reserves in South Africa. And the idea is the more rhinos there are, the bigger the return you get. And I think that's a fantastic idea where we can create a win-win. And for most people, they're perfectly happy to get enough return on their money as long as there's something else that benefits along the way. So I'm delighted to hear of it. I'm going to investigate it further. And wouldn't it be nice if we had lots more investment opportunities like that? Let's say the black rhino. Well, the next piece of news I read this week was a piece of research issued by Savills, and they tell us that over the last year, the average property in the UK has risen by 24,000, which they say is 77% of an average annual salary in the UK. Now, people will differ about the 24,000 and the 77%, but broadly, we can see quite clearly the difference between passive working and active working, because active working means having a job, you slave away, you work 9 till 5 or 8 till 6 or whatever it is, doing something that you may or may not like, and that's quite clearly active and you earn a salary. A property, on the other hand, is completely passive. It goes up in value whether you're sitting in it or not, and let's just say you can earn the equivalent amount of money in a year by owning a property versus working for a living. Passive versus active. And the great thing about passive wealth generation is that you can do it more than once. So if you've got a property that goes up in value by 24,000 or more, then you can buy another one and another one and another one and another one. So you can actually increase your earnings exponentially by having lots and lots of different passive assets, different passive properties working for you. You can't do that with a job. You can't have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 full-time jobs. It just wouldn't be possible, and you can't do it. So passive wealth generation as opposed to active. The sooner you get onto the passive version, the better. So get started today, and let's see what happens to property prices in the next year, and then you can double your salary. Now, I've always said cash is king and queen and prince and princess as well. And there's been some research out this week by the Royal Society of Arts, the RSA, and they've done research into the impact of having a cashless society, what the impact will be in the UK. And they say that there will be 10 million people affected by going cashless. So going completely digital, doing without physical money, and people will be impacted. There's apparently 1.5 million people that still don't even have a bank account, and they work purely on cash. Now, the thing about being digital and having finance at the flick of a button is that it is at the flick of a button, and it's very easy to pay for stuff, to buy stuff just by swishing, pressing OK, pressing subscribe, whatever it may be, and before you know it, your money is gone. And that may be okay if you have enough money and if you're in complete control of your finances, but that isn't really very good for the people who are on very low budgets or who are in debt and who struggle, because actually physical cash helps you to control your money much better, because you can see it, feel it, and spend it proportionately. Stuff that's digital, just at the click of a button, swish of a mouse, whatever, there's no real control there, and so for people on low incomes, for people that are struggling, going cashless will cause a huge problem. And I actually think it's a form of discrimination to make people go cashless when it's not right for them. So let's keep the cash. Let's keep voting to keep some cash for some people, and particularly for those people who would benefit, because there's going to be a lot of people suffer if we do go cashless. Now, obviously, the big news this week is about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars last weekend, and that the story continues or has continued all week. Now, I'm not going to comment about the rights and wrongs of what happened, but what I do want to talk about is what happened afterwards to Chris Rock's money, because as soon as the event happened, demand for tickets for his stand-up tour just went through the roof. And demand was such that ticket prices went from $46 to over $400. Apparently, in the 48 hours after the Oscars, the demand for his tickets went up 25 times. Now, I know it wasn't planned, or at least I'm assuming it wasn't planned. I'm assuming that Chris Rock didn't want that as some kind of lucrative publicity stunt. But the impact of it is, by being slapped by Will Smith, Chris Rock is now substantially richer because his tour has sold out. He's going to get more in merchandising. He's going to get more in profits, more ticket sales, and so on. And I suspect when he looks at it as a whole, it was worth it, because actually the benefit to him has been quite substantial. And I kept thinking to myself, what if they'd had a real fist fight rolling around on the floor? What would have happened to Chris Rock's sales then? Or if he'd have actually bled or been knocked out or something, would that have meant the ticket sales for his tour were even higher price than the $400? Who knows? But it just goes to show you never know where the publicity is going to come from, and probably there's no such thing as bad publicity. And I think Chris Rock has done all right out of it at the end. And I suspect he could not have planned his publicity for his forthcoming tour any better than that. Well, keep safe and have a good week.